action. Pass, throw it to the flat, picked off! Panthers get a pick six.
Sean Lee Jr. sees through the number 2 receiver and just baits the quarterback to throw it right to him.
That was Bill Hargrove and color analyst Pat Bostick on the call on the Panthers Radio Network. Pitt coming off that cross-country road win over Stanford last week, and we're joined now by Pat Bostick, former Pitt Panthers quarterback, played in one of the most memorable games in Notre Dame Pitt recent history. This series has been going on since 1909, Pat, and that quadruple overtime thriller at Notre Dame Stadium, I'm sure a lot of Notre Dame fans remember, and a lot of Pitt Panther fans remember that one.
Yeah, it's a fond memory for sure, for me and for my teammates and a bunch of Pitt fans. I'm sure not so much for the Irish, but I'll tell you, growing up, in an Irish Catholic family, and my grandparents were huge Notre Dame fans. That was my first time ever there. To start a quarterback and come out with a win was a memory that I'll cherish for the rest of my days.
But it's not an ACC game. I gladly get beat 103 or 110 to 10 in that game. They can put 100 up on us as long as we win the next 2 after that. But again, our focus is on Notre Dame and getting as many wins as we can.
I do have to ask you the question because Pat was asked the question earlier this week during his press conference, almost like the elephant in the room. But he answered that question with it's not a must-win, not a must-win situation for the Pitt Panthers because it's not an ACC game. Walk us through that statement. What did Pat mean by that? And are people taking it out of context?
Yeah, I think a little bit. I don't think it probably didn't come out the way he wanted it to. He does speak from the heart, which is why we love him here. He's one of us, but I would say that he's trying to really relay to his guys that obviously this is a huge opportunity to play a top 10 Notre Dame team that has some of the best players in the country, maybe the best tailback, perhaps the Heisman favorite, Jeremiah Love. And, at home, a noon game with a college game day there. And I think all the people around this program, fans, alums, students, are all telling all the players how important it is. When I think to the players, it's important that they're loose and cut it loose when they hit that field here, at noon on Saturday. So I think it's a message more so to his players. But I know that coach and watching them practice throughout the week, I know how important this game is, and his mantra is typically going 1-0, so every game is a must win.
When you look at Notre Dame's offensive attack, a lot of teams have been trying to stack the box against Notre Dame, since week 0, and we've seen it. They want to slow down Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and make C.J. Carr beat them over the top. You guys come in with a very solid. I say since Miami or Texas A&M, one of the most solid defensive backs that Notre Dame has played. What is the defensive strategy for Pittsburgh this weekend against Notre Dame's offense?
Yeah, I think one of the unique parts of this game is that, for the Notre Dame teams, all 4 of them that have played Pat Narduzzi in the past at Pitt, and then when he was at Michigan State, the defense really hasn't changed. I'm sure there's definitely nuances, and their personnel allows them to do some different things on third down, but stacking the box or structure to stop the run isn't a departure from what Pitt already does. They're a 4 cross, 2 split safety quarters defense. Safeties are, extra linebackers and effectively in one-on-one situations in the passing game. So that won't be a new component of Pitt's game plan. Obviously, the challenge will be much more difficult with how well Notre Dame's able to block, and then obviously Jeremiah Love and Price and what they can do in terms of being their own blocker.
Where do you think that Pitt has the advantage, and where do you think they could make some headway and get the upset here?
Yeah, I think starting fast will be important. Obviously there's going to be a lot of energy in the building. This will be a sold-out environment. There's a lot of hoopla around it. Pitt has gotten off to fast starts each of the 5 games that Mason Heinschel, the true freshman, started. I do think when I look at this is not taking anything away from anybody that Notre Dame's played. I think this is the most dynamic passing attack that Notre Dame will have faced with Pitt. A lot of motions and shifts, a lot of man coverage beaters, and Notre Dame likes to play their share of man cover one. I'll be very interested to watch how that plays out, and can Pitt hold up against that front four, which is so good for the Irish. But certainly getting Mason Heichel settled down to the game. You know, both freshman quarterbacks for that matter. I mean, C.J. Carr, a redshirt freshman, and obviously the true freshman Mason Heichel. And then the kicking game. I mean, Notre Dame's special teams are impressive. They have a lot of starters on special teams. They've obviously struggled to put it through the uprights at times. Pitt has a true freshman kicker that's been terrific, and they've had their share of special teams splash as well. So I just think there are key matchups in every phase. Notre Dame is as good a team as Pitt's going to play all year, and one of the better teams in the country. They've rallied since stumbling early and are playing much better football. They have a lot of young people at a lot of key positions, including up front. This is going to be, I think, a heck of a football game, and I think the advantage for the Panthers is if they can protect the quarterback. Aside from some of the matchups that Notre Dame will lock down for sure, Pitt's slot receivers and Desmond Reed, the tailback on linebackers and safeties, will be very interesting to watch.
We really appreciate you jumping on the call with us. I know it's a busy week for you, and we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We'll see you there.
Yeah, sounds good. Pat Bostick joining us here on the Panthers Radio Network on ABC57 Kickoff.